Welcome to this week's Future Toolbox podcast. We explore the Z to A of life skills, where each letter stands for a topic and essential tool to help you get ahead in life. Meet Jules and Mark, creators of the multi-award-winning Future Toolbox, and enjoy their straightforward approach to creating growth mindsets that help people turn their dreams into realities. Whether you're a teen in education, a parent, a teacher, or part of a community group, start creating positive habits from today.
Hello again, it's Mark and Jules, creators of the multi-award-winning Future Toolbox here.
Hello.
And welcome to this week's episode of the Z to A of Life. We have N is for nutrition, don't we?
We do.
And it ties in nicely because this week is Sugar Awareness Week. So have you had any sugar in your tea today?
I have, yes.
Are you aware of that?
I am very aware of it.
But that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some healthy eating and healthy living tips. But before we do that, we have a guest. Who's our guest today?
Yes, we're super excited today because we've got a very, very special guest that you might know as the fellow director of the Future Toolbox. It's the fantastic Sally Wood, who's also a local business owner. So, yeah, tell us about your role within the Future Toolbox.
Well, thank you for having me. It's really exciting to be here today. So I'm officially a non-executive director of the Future Toolbox, which sounds incredibly serious, incredibly straight-laced, and if you were to sit in one of our board meetings, you might realise that maybe we take ourselves a little less seriously than that.
We do.
That's the best thing about it, isn't it?
So we have a lot of fun along the way, but my role really is to support Mark and Jules with running the Future Toolbox and just bringing a different perspective to it. So you've got an amazing background in working with young people as motivational speakers. What I bring to this is probably a different approach of that business awareness, that governance, and looking after the financial side of it. So I'm really involved in things like applying for funding, looking at forecasts and projections, etc., which sounds very serious, but we'd like to have our meetings in lots of different locations. So we're actually treating this as an on-air live board meeting. I don't know if anybody's taking minutes. If not, why not? We've also
I'm not taking minutes. Are you taking minutes?
The word governance is starting to scare me a little bit as well.
I see Mark's starting to itch at that word.
Actually, we don't need to do minutes because it's being recorded.
That is true, yeah, very good.
We've even had a board meeting in Lanzarote. That's how seriously we take it. So
we did, yes. We've gone international.
We've gone international, absolutely. But it's great to be involved in the Future Toolbox because I really love the purpose of the Community Interest Company, and it's all about getting to those people who maybe can't afford the services to buy them in. It's actually finding a way of funding them and providing them free at the point of delivery to individuals who really, really need them. So it's great to be involved, and the Future Toolbox is just growing. It's not just about the young people, it's about supporting the whole family, that whole ecosystem. Also branching out to support people who've been through traumatic injury or illness, which is fantastic and something that's really close to both of you. So yeah, I'm just really, really excited to be part of it.
And actually, I've just thought of another fantastic role for you. You've got to be our PR agent. That was probably the best description of what we do I've heard for quite some time. So yeah,
checks in the post.
If only we were recording that. Oh, we were. We were.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Sally. And you know, you have made a difference to the Future Toolbox in terms of what you've just said and what you give us and what you support us with, and value everything that you bring to the table with us. Really, really do. But yeah, what else are you involved in? Because it's not just the Future Toolbox, is it?
It isn't, no. So I have my own consultancy business. So I'm a consultant finance director. So I work with businesses who need my services on the financial side on a part-time or project basis, that's my professional background as a finance director. I'm involved with a couple of startups who are at the stage where they're potentially going for funding, so that's very exciting. I am the volunteer area leader for the Federation of Small Businesses for Leicestershire, Northamptonshire and Rutland, so that helps me to lobby and give a voice to the small business community in the area, which is incredibly rewarding. I am an enterprise advisor working with local schools to make sure that they're getting those connections with businesses and employers so that young people can find out about the variety of options, and it doesn't rely on them having family friends or parents who do certain roles, because when I was growing up, my parents weren't accountants, lawyers, engineers, business people. So it's great to be able to facilitate some of that with young people. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm also involved with quite a lot of not-for-profits and charities, and I really enjoy that side of it. So I do sleep sometimes. I definitely eat, and hopefully that will segue you nicely into your next session.
We do actually have a topic of Zeddy's disease about sleep and sleep balance, don't we? But we'll talk about that another time.
That brings us beautifully on to the nutrition, and you seem like you have a very, very hectic, very, very busy life. So we'll explore how you manage to keep your energy levels up as we go through this.
Yes, the focus of Sugar Awareness Week is actually on breakfast. And there's a quote here that says, "Garbage in, garbage out," which was said by George Fushel, who is an IBM programmer. And his idea behind that quote was, if you program the computer wrong, you put a garbage program into it, then you wouldn't get the results at the end of the computer would crash. So I guess that's the same with our bodies. If we put rubbish into our bodies, we get rubbish results, don't we? But the focus on breakfast is really important, because if you start the day with no breakfast, then you're technically running on empty and your body's not performing. And one of the focuses on Sugar Awareness Week is raising awareness of the sugar in breakfast cereal. So I remember as a kid, I used to love Cocoa Pops. Do you remember they made the milk go brown, didn't they?
Yes, yeah.
And I used to have shreddies as well. And shreddies were great because they didn't have much sugar in them, but then I'd pour sugar all over them. Same with my Weetabix as well. So what was your favourite breakfast cereal? Thinking of that.
I've got a confession to make. I used to like Sugar Puffs without milk, because I don't really like milk, and I used to sit and eat a bowl of Sugar Puffs with no milk on. That's pretty grim, isn't it?
I think they had sugar in as well with the name, didn't they? Sugar Puffs.
Maybe a little bit.
I get that. I've done that. Yeah, without the milk. Just diving your hands in the box and filling your mouth
you've got
full
to
of
do
sugar
it with your
puffs.
hands, not with the spoon.
There you go. See?
Childhood eating habits. What were your favourites?
I think my favourites were things like Rice Krispies and, do you remember Frosties? They were called Frosties then. I think they're called different things now.
Great.
That's it.
Tony the Tiger.
That's the one, yes. Yeah, absolutely loaded in sugar and, I don't know, what else? Honey or something. But they were delicious. But, yeah, completely loaded in sugar.
And the Honey Monster was Sugar Puffs, wasn't it? Now,
That's
for all the
it.
teens listening to this, they need to now go on YouTube and look up Tony the Tiger and the Honey Monster.
Oh, no.
There were some great adverts. But anyway, going back on track there, they were loaded with sugar, weren't they? They probably weren't really adequate enough to fuel us for the rest of the day. But it was all about clever marketing with, as we say, Tony the Tiger and the Honey Monster.
That's right, yeah. So if we talk about sort of breakfast now and how it's particularly, say, for us, how much that's changed in terms of what we eat. What's your favourite kind of breakfast that you have now, Sally?
I love savoury things for breakfast, so I love things like avocado on toast or scrambled egg in a wrap or even cheese spread on toast, crumpets. You know, you're all going to come round to my house for breakfast now, aren't you?
Actually, we had avocado and toast this morning, didn't we?
We did, didn't we?
Yeah, a little bit of lemon squeeze. Oh,
Yeah.
that was really lovely. I love that.
A bit of chilli, that's always good as well.
And sunflower seeds or seeds over the top of it as well. You're very good at making a smoothie every morning for us, aren't
I
you?
love a smoothie, yeah. Yeah, not one of the ones you buy off the shelf. It's got to have a banana in there, probably an avocado, strawberries maybe if we've got some of those. A bit of spinach.
Oh, yes. Always got to have your greens for
Yeah,
breakfast.
a little bit of soya milk as well. Just whatever goes in there, really, as long as it's a bit of fresh fruit.
What do you do if you don't like bananas? Because I have a confession, I hate bananas.
I'll tell you what you do is you don't put a banana in it.
But to get that smoothie consistency, I guess avocado could do that, couldn't
Avocado is a good one for like thickening it up because I'm not a massive fan of it if it's not got something like a thickening agent in there. So, but avocados are brilliant for doing that as well, aren't they?
Do you know one of my other favourites as well? This won't float your boat, but I love peanut butter and banana smoothies.
Sally doesn't do peanut butter
I don't do
either.
peanut butter
No,
either.
if you don't like peanut butter or banana,
I think my
then
worst
that's
combination
probably
would be a peanut butter and banana milkshake. That would be.
That's what it tastes like.
Something else for helping to sort of thicken them up as well is if you put a yogurt instead of using soya milk. A yogurt often is a great thing for doing that.
Be careful it's not a sugar-loaded yogurt, though. You have
Very
to be
true.
careful because some
Very
of them
true.
are very, very high in sugar content.
Another one that I've really got into lately is making overnight oats.
Oh,
or
yes.
Bircher muesli, if you want to give it its posh name. So just put some oats in. I often do it with plant milk in the fridge overnight, and then chop some fresh fruit up to it. You can put some seeds in it and everything, and maybe an extra dollop of yogurt on top. That's a really nice breakfast.
Yeah, I'm
That's
with you
a
on that. I
good
have that before I
breakfast.
go running, before I've got an event. And the other thing I love about it as well is it's really lazy because you just put it in the fridge the night before. You don't have to make porridge then.
It's
Same as
so
making
easy.
porridge.
We like an easy life.
A good nutrition analogy is thinking about when you service your car, you put oil into the engine and that
Yeah.
keeps it running. You wouldn't pour, say, water in there because the car wouldn't
The
work
car would
properly,
break
would it?
down.
Might even blow up.
It might even. If you didn't put oil into it at all, then the car engine would definitely blow up. I know people that have done that before, have ruined
well,
the
it
whole car by
seizes
not
up, doesn't
topping
it?
the engine. Yeah, that's right. And this is the same as breakfast. I remember back in the day when I worked full time, I used to skip breakfast and I'd really flag through the day and realise that I just didn't have a great deal of energy. So I would never skip breakfast now.
Do you skip breakfast at all?
I don't. I can't eat breakfast when I first get up, but I make a point of having breakfast every day because if not, my blood sugar levels fall and I feel lightheaded and dizzy and faint, and nobody wants a fainting Sally on their hands. So I'm very sort of religious about having breakfast every single day.
Oh, that's fantastic news. So, yeah, nutrition, as we know, is really, really important for everybody. And Sally, from your introduction, we can see that you lead a really busy life and you're here, there and everywhere. And I mean, let's face it, you've driven over from Milton Keynes, you've been in a busy meeting there before coming here. So how do you keep yourself fueled and your nutrition up through the day to keep you going?
Well, sometimes that nutrition can take the form of coffee and cake. So anyone who's ever had a business meeting will know that I enjoy a coffee, a cake. Yesterday I was having a cheese scone and tea somewhere in Market Harbour, which was lovely. But on a serious note, if I know that I'm not going to be somewhere where I can sit down and have something to eat, I will make something to take with me so that I've always got something to eat, because I try and eat regularly so that I don't get tired, or so that I don't end up automatically just reaching for a bar of chocolate and a packet of crisps, which I've been guilty of in the past, and I think we all have. And sometimes that's no bad thing. I think a bit of balance in life is good, but...
Yeah, absolutely. Balance is key, isn't it? You know, we talk about that. We say about the 80-20 rule of 80% of the time, do all the good things, but it doesn't matter now and again. Like you say, if you have the cake or even the cheese scone, you're making me hungry.
Chocolate, don't forget the chocolate.
Don't forget the chocolate.
I never thought you'd mention that, Mark.
Yeah.
Do you like chocolate?
Got a bit of a reputation on these podcasts for my love of chocolate, but it is true.
But again, you know, talking of nutrition, Sally, you lead a very busy life. Now, Mark, you do lots and lots of running. You've just, you know, released your book about all the hundreds of thousands of runs that you do and half marathons. So how do you keep your nutrition up?
Yeah, that's really important, because do you remember when I first started running? I was terrible, wasn't I? I never really fueled myself properly before or after races or training. I found I was having big energy crashes. The natural thing then was to go for all the marketed products. So the sports brand, you know, drink this orangey, delicious tasting energy drink that puts isotonic into your body, and in reality it was sugar water and orange juice. But I remember going on a nutrition course and studying nutrition for over a year, and found out that how your body works and how it reacts, and then realising that I need a little bit more. I need protein in my body to repair after I run or after I've done a race. I need carbs before I run.
You need all that energy.
Energy. But it's about having a balance. I remember in the early days as well, everybody's like, you've got to eat pasta because you're a runner. So go carb loading, eat loads of pasta. I became sick of pasta, and then I realised that pasta, especially white pasta, is really refined, so that's not really great for you. So you're getting all these messages: drink the orangey, sugary running drink, put this pasta into your body. I remember the first time I did the London Marathon, and we stayed at my sister Katie's. Do you remember that?
I do.
I had a
Bless
slice of toast before running a marathon.
How bad is that?
I wondered why I had stomachache after about 10 miles.
What I call optimism.
Blind faith and optimism. Obviously, I got
naivety.
round, I finished the marathon, but the following year I had to try something different, and now it's overnight oats. That's definitely my absolute go-to before a race, even if it's a 10k and not a marathon.
Yeah, obviously, we did some research, and I'm actually now his nutritionalist, if that's what you want to call me, Andrea. But yeah, I do make sure that what we are actually putting inside our bodies, particularly if he's going to be doing something like that, is going to fuel him and give him the energy that he needs, but not sugary energy, but proper energy.
I do allow myself that treat of chocolate afterwards. Though,
chocolate afterwards, absolutely. Yeah, that takes me back to when I was first diagnosed with breast cancer, and I was recommended a book to read. And one of the major things, or a turning point particularly for us, was understanding our bodies and what processed food can do to that and how difficult it is. And from that day, we really changed our diet. So from reading that book now, everything that we cook tends to be homemade, doesn't it? So that I know exactly what has gone in there. So it's not over processed, it's all natural ingredients.
That's right, and it also coincided us with us eating a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
And if people say to you, why are you vegetarian? That is probably the explanation we give, isn't it?
It is, yeah. What about you, Sally? Because I know you're not a vegetarian.
We try, and we're not always good. We're trying to eat less meat, less often, and when we do, trying to eat unprocessed meat more as a bigger proportion of the meat that we eat. But we eat a lot of vegetables, we eat a lot of pulses and grains, try and have a varied diet, and we don't eat the same. Some people I know will eat the same meals every day, every week.
Yes.
If it's Monday, it must be shepherd's pie. If it's Sunday, it must be a roast dinner.
Fish and chips Friday.
Fish and chips Friday, yeah.
Chips. A big downfall of mine. I do love a bag of chips.
But we genuinely try and eat a variety of things, and I'm fortunate because Matt, my partner, loves to cook, and it's his way of de-stressing after work. So he loves nothing more than to shut himself away in the kitchen with music on and just cook a load of food, and that's another way that we ensure that we've got decent meals prepared. So we've got home cooked things in the freezer ready to defrost when we need it at times when we might be too busy to cook.
No, that's brilliant. I have a quick question to ask though. Does Matt do what I do when he's cooking? Does he dance? Does he boogie around the kitchen? Or he shuts the door? Do you not know?
He shuts the door, so I'll never know.
Sneak over and look through the kitchen window.
I couldn't possibly comment.
But how can you, as parents, going around the shops, how can you tell the difference between processed and natural foods?
Because we talked about vegetarian and eating unprocessed meats, and that's a real key to a healthy diet. So I always follow the rule that if the food looks like it did when it was grown, then it's probably not processed. Another rule I used to apply to was to look at the ingredients. And generally you can pick out what things are. So if it says strawberry, you know what a strawberry is. If it's got an E number in there or some really strange thing that normally ends with E-N-E or something
that you can't pronounce. Yeah. You're thinking, is that good for me?
That doesn't, I don't understand what it is. I remember seeing this contains emulsifiers. What's an emulsifier? I don't know what one of those is. Then I actually learned it's something that preserves food. So that's not natural. It's not saying it's bad, but the more additives there are in food, probably the worse it's going to be for you.
And that's the same with sugars, isn't it? Because you have two types of sugars in food, don't you? You have what they call natural sugar and free sugars. So natural sugars you find in things like whole fruit and vegetables that we've talked about and how good that is. But what are the things that you think's got the free sugar, the one that is not so good for you?
I guess things like fizzy pop, bags of sweets. I do eat those as well sometimes. But again, I try not to just have things like that in the house because I know if I have them, I'll just eat the whole bag. It's an occasional treat.
Yes, yeah. You try not to buy them. I found some biscuits yesterday. They were vegan ones and I was eating it thinking, I'm being good because it's vegan. But at the same point, it was actually loaded with sugar.
It's still a biscuit, isn't it?
It's still a biscuit.
Yeah, I have a friend who is gluten intolerant and used to think that everything she bought that was gluten free was actually really, really good for you, and then realised that it's actually the same. If you're eating something that's gluten free, vegetarian, vegan, whatever it is, it still might not be that great.
Yeah.
Fat free is another one. Sometimes the fat's taken out and something else is put in there to replace it. But anyway, I'm going to get off my nutrition course soapbox now because I've studied this and we need to make it simple for people, don't we?
As a great example of that, I used to work with somebody who was a vegetarian and she had possibly the worst diet. She used to eat the whole trinity of chips, cheese, chocolate and not a great deal else. Maybe the occasional pint of lager. So not a particularly balanced diet.
The 3 C's, what was it?
Chips, cheese and chocolate.
And the L, lager.
Lager.
Oh, yeah,
Black label.
But I guess the message to people really is to say, eat healthy. We mentioned the 80-20 rule, and if you're eating healthy 80% of the time and you allow yourself to treat the 20% of the time, that's fine. And it's not about tying yourself up into a minefield and really, really obsessing and bogging yourself down with it. Just making sure that you balance, not skipping your breakfast.
Yeah, not having those sugary cereals for breakfast. I think that's quite key.
Monster. He was a great character. And then just looking at balancing it out through the day, eating your regular meals. Some people have 3 meals a day. Some people have smaller snacks through the day, as long as those snacks aren't bars of chocolate or energy drink.
So Sally, have you got any final thoughts on this?
I think it's about listening to your own body and finding out what works for you. So what's good for me might not be good for you, Jules, or for you, Mark. It's listening to your body, finding out what works and not getting too obsessed with the detail.
I think that's a really good tip to take away. Also, just something I would like to add to that is the amount of energy that you're expending, because some people have a more sedentary role than other people. You do lots of running, I don't do quite so much, so you eat more than me. But he needs it.
I need that, yes. Fabulous. So that is N for nutrition this week. And Sally, thanks for coming in today.
Yes,
absolute pleasure having you on the show. I'm sure you'll be back again.
Maybe I will.
Maybe I will.
If I get invited.
If you get invited, of course you will. Where can people find you if they're looking for you?
Best place is on LinkedIn. So if you look for Sally Wood Consultancy on LinkedIn, you'll find me there. I'm the one with the smiley face.
Oh, and she's always smiling. This is one of the things that we love about our Sal.
Thank you so much.
So thank you everybody for listening again this week to the Future Toolbox's Z to A podcast. You can find us on social media on Instagram and TikTok. Also, we are on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you very soon.
See you very soon.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Z2A of Life Skills with Jules and Mark of the Future Toolbox. Don't forget to head over to their website, which is futuretoolbox.co.uk, where you can find lots of free resources, plus a host of books in the store, as well as subscribing to the membership site. Follow Future Toolbox Instagram, TikTok and Facebook at Future Toolbox, and subscribe to their YouTube channel too.